In a world where...
Is this thing on?
Barely.
This episode of the Just John podcast is brought to you by the random fact that Spider-Man spoke more in Captain America Civil War with 47 lines of dialogue than Superman did in the theatrical cut of Batman v Superman with 43 lines of dialogue, and two of the most amazing patrons on the planet. Find out how you can become a patron of the show by heading on over to justjohnpodcast.com/support. What up, homies? I'm your host, John Medina, and this, my fine ladies and gentlemen, is the Just John Podcast, episode 38 for the week of May 14th. Today on the show, my take on Captain America Civil War. We have our young Han Solo, the streaming bubble, and more.
You know, when I see a car like this, first thing I do is I say, would you look at this?
Captain America Civil War. I went and saw it this weekend, and I just want to say that it is by far one of the best Marvel films of all time. Definitely in the top 3 for sure. Now, I'm going to review the movie a little bit, but I do want to... I can't guarantee that it won't be spoilery, but if you're going to skip my review of the movie because you don't want to risk there being spoilers, that's fine, but take this from it before you hit the skip ahead button. It is a fantastic movie, and you need to go see it. So now that I got that out of the way, I'm going to talk a little bit about the movie and how I felt about it. As I said, there may be some spoilers in this. I can't guarantee that there will be, but I also can't guarantee that there won't be, because I'm just going to talk about how I feel about the movie. I'm not going to really necessarily review the movie because there are people like the Epic Film guys that are a lot better at reviewing movies than me, but I just want to talk about it as a average moviegoer guy that went and saw the movie. One of the biggest things that I had in my mind when I was getting ready to go see this film is what side I wanted to be on. Because they pushed that in their promotional campaigns on Twitter, on Facebook, in the commercials, everywhere. They wanted you to kind of pick a side. Were you Team Cap or were you Team Iron Man? Now, before I went into the movie, I was already torn because I love Iron Man and I wanted to be Team Iron Man, but what I had gathered from the commercials and the previews was that I really kind of wanted Captain America's thought process to prevail. That I didn't want the government to have control of the Avengers, and that I was going to have to end up siding with Captain America, even though fanboy-wise, I would be more inclined to side with Iron Man. But one of the best things about this movie is that when you start watching the movie and you start getting into the arguments about which side is right and why, it's really hard. You almost go back and forth as you watch the movie between who you think is actually right. And it's beautiful to see these movies echo certain situations that are equally as troubling in real life, because it is a very, very difficult decision it's a very difficult thing to try to decide what is right and what is wrong, because it is all gray. There is very little black and white in the situation. On one side, you've got people saying, while these people are saving lives and rescuing people and saving the world multiple times, there is a lot of collateral damage, and there's no one telling them when to go out and when not to, and I understand that. But at the same time, who gives the United Nations or any government, for that matter, or governmental organization the right to say that's not important enough for this person to go do it when they should have free will too? So I understand the problem behind the argument, and it was nice to see Marvel take a very serious subject and be able to inject seriousness into it, but still have the jokey, happy-go-lucky that we love about the Marvel movies. And I think that they balanced it amazingly. And while I hate to compare it to another movie that's recently came out that's similar, Batman v Superman, Marvel has proved that you can go deep and dark and serious with your characters, but still have a light side to it too, with jokes and wittiness and different things like that. Another thing about this movie that I think that made it so great is that there were a lot of superheroes in this movie. I mean, more than the Avengers, but it felt less crowded than Age of Ultron. The first Avengers movie, definitely in the top 3 too, no doubt about it for me. But the second Avengers, Age of Ultron, it struggled. It struggled really, really hard to have all of these superheroes and develop their individual stories while developing the story of the Avengers as a whole, and it just couldn't pack all of it into one movie. And after I saw it, I kind of thought, well, maybe that's just the way that it is when you try to jam all of these different superheroes into one movie. But I have been proven wrong, because this movie had ridiculous amounts of superheroes, but it did not feel crowded. Each superhero got their moment. You had Vision and Scarlet Witch even able to sit down and have a conversation. You learned about Black Panther. You didn't learn a ton about Black Panther, but he's going to have his own standalone film to go ahead and give a lot more character building into who he is. But everybody in the movie, all the superheroes, had their own section. In the fight scene at the airport between Black Widow and Hawkeye, we even had interaction that it fit perfectly. And I think that the Russo brothers did a fantastic job fitting all of these different superheroes into one movie. And as I said, when I watched Age of Ultron, I kind of thought that maybe that's just how it was going to be because of how many people, and it kind of made me a little scared for the Infinity War, because there are going to be even more superheroes in it. But Captain America Civil War has me feeling better about that again, that Marvel can handle it, that they can create a movie that's going to have an ungodly amount of superheroes in it, but still be a good movie with good character development and good character interaction, without having to just basically say, here's all of our guys, let's just have them constantly throw punches at each other the whole time without any other dialogue involved. I also want to say that Spider-Man was perfect. I was never a big Tobey Maguire fan in his rendition of Spider-Man, but I didn't care at that point because it was Spider-Man and we really didn't have a lot of superhero movies back then, so I didn't really care too much. Then Andrew Garfield came in the picture, and I thought that he was the perfect Spider-Man. I thought he did a fantastic job. The movies weren't the best, but I think he did the best with what he had. I just really cannot fault him for the studio's problems and the writer's problems and the director's problems. I cannot give Andrew Garfield flack for doing the best with what he had. And I really, really liked him. And I honestly wanted them to continue him as Spider-Man, but I understand that they couldn't because they had to leave all of the old Spider-Mans behind and come out with the Sony Marvel conglomerate Spider-Man. And I understood that. So I was like, I guess I'm going to see what they are going to do. But man, is it amazing. Spider-Man was fantastic. And Tom Holland was perfect for Spider-Man. I think he's young. He's really young, and I think that's honestly what they needed. They spent, with Tobey Maguire, he was way too old, and don't get me wrong. He wasn't super old, but he was way too old to be the Spider-Man that we needed. Andrew Garfield was closer to the age, but Tom Holland, perfect Spider-Man. Even for just the little amount of time that he was in the movie, I think he did a bang-up job. I really liked him, and I'm so excited now. I can't wait to see this new Spider-Man movie and with what Tom Holland can do. And nothing against Sony, because Sony has came out with plenty of good movies in the past, but honestly, I'm getting to the point where I don't think that anybody can make a Marvel movie as good as Marvel Disney can make a Marvel movie. I'm not sure. I know that there's plenty of other talented people that don't work for Marvel Disney, and I know that. But there's just something about it that when Marvel Disney has a Marvel property, they make a fan-freaking-tastic movie. They make perfect characters, and I think it was, I loved it. I loved everything about it. Overall, fantastic film, great character development, great continuation of Winter Soldier. great continuation of Age of Ultron, great continuation of pretty much every Marvel movie up to this point. I think it was fantastic. I think we set up a perfect situation for Black Panther movie. I think we've got a perfect situation for the way that the movie ended. I think that it's going to lead into Infinity War perfectly. And the only thing, I missed Thor and the Hulk, but I understand why they weren't there. I know why they weren't there. And they even explained it a little bit in the movie, and we got Ragnarok coming, so I'll get my Thor Hulk fix shortly. But I know for the story, they couldn't be in the story, but I just missed them in the movie. But anyway, it was a fantastic movie. If you're still listening to this and you didn't go see the movie, I'm sorry if I got a little spoilery, but go see the movie.
It's weird.
Young Han Solo. We finally have our young Han Solo, and forgive me because I did not Google search how to pronounce his name, and I still can't pronounce it right, I'm sure. But Alden Ehrenreich is in final negotiations to play young Han Solo in the upcoming Star Wars spin-off movie. After a lengthy search that saw 2,500 actors audition for the role, Ehrenreich, whose biggest role so far has came from the Coen brothers' comedy Hail Caesar, was reportedly one of 3 actors who made it into the final shortlist for Solo hopefuls, alongside Jack Rayner and Taron Egerton. One of the cool things about Alden, because I'm going to stop trying to say his last name at this point because I know I'm not doing it right, but one of the cool things about him is that he had a career similar to Harrison Ford's. So I think that it's cool that, one, Lucasfilm has always been known for picking stars that are unknown stars and turning them into stars. Rarely is anybody that's in a Star Wars movie already famous, and I like that they're continuing that tradition. I also like that he kind of he started his career really weird like Harrison Ford did, because I think that at some kind of subconscious level that makes him understand Harrison Ford's mentality a little more, which will help him understand Han Solo's mentality a little more, which will help him play a better Han Solo. There's no details yet on the plot for the movie, and the movie doesn't come out till 2018, so we really don't, we just don't know anything. We've got Rogue One coming out in 16, we've got Episode 8 coming out in 17, Han Solo movie coming out in 18. So, to be honest, it's on the back burner right now. Disney, Lucasfilm is writing everything, getting everything figured out, getting everything started, picking people, but they've got 2 other movies to worry about right now, and I've got Rogue One to worry about right now. I don't even have time to concentrate on Episode 8 because I'm too busy trying to just process the fact that we're going to have a Star Wars movie every year, which just, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And one of the things I like, not to get off on a tangent here, but one of the things I like about Rogue One is that we are finally going to get a expanded universe Star Wars story. It applies to the core original trilogy because they're stealing the plans of the Death Star, which they then use to destroy the Death Star, but it's still an expanded universe movie, and I love it. I love all of it. Give me more Star Wars, please. Okay, it's time to take a break. We are about halfway through the show, which means we are going to play some music. If you are, or if you know an underground artist that you would like to have featured on the show, please submit your suggestions at justjohnpodcast.com/song. The song that I'm playing today is called Surfin' in Skegness, and it is by the band Heavyball.
Have gone up, yeah they're calling Tom. He gathers up his things cause they're closing this pub, yeah they're calling Tom. Stumbles out into the rain again, turns his car leaving, yeah, he's leaving town. Take it. He puts a single fare on the National Express, yeah, he's leaving town. Take it. Heading out to the road again. He's heading out towards the sea. The postpones within his heart again, 'cause he's determined to be free. He scurries down the steps of the weathered seawall. Yeah, he's getting there. Can't swim. The shingles on the beach slow his run to a crawl, but he's getting there. Can't swim. Stands alone against the night again. Waves are crashing to the shore. Never gonna be alone again, 'cause it's the chance he's waiting for. He slips him up and slips away into a brighter shade of grey. And as he sinks beneath the waves, he smiles a smile that seems to say,
Again, that song was called Surfin' in Skegness, and it was by the band Heavyball.
History became legend, legend became myth, and for 2,500 years, the ring passed out of all knowledge.
YouTube Unplugged. YouTube is now entering the online TV landscape. It has been reported that the company is working on a subscription-based streaming service called Unplugged that would let customers stream a bundle of cable channels. YouTube has been working on this project since 2012, but has recently ramped up efforts as other companies including Dish, Sony, and now Hulu have launched or plan to deliver premium internet TV offerings. The current goal is to launch Unplugged in 2017, but we'll see what happens. I mean, YouTube's already made all the behind-the-scenes infrastructure changes that it requires to be able to do this, but it's been having some problems with its talks. It has been trying to discuss with all the big players, NBC, CBS, 21st Century Fox, and Viacom, but they're having problems. And I have a good guess as to why they're having problems. NBC Universal owns 20% stake in Hulu. So, and Hulu's coming out with its own cable TV, well, not cable, but subscription TV cable-like service. CBS is trying to get their all-access service booted up by bribing people with the new Star Trek TV show. And as for Fox and Viacom, who knows? I'm sure, they both have streaming services too, technically, I think. I don't know. I know Fox is all their shows is on Hulu. I don't know anything really about Viacom. But so far, YouTube hasn't been able to do it, and so they're still trying to talk to them. But I think it will eventually happen. Dish has already had some success in this category with Sling, which basically lets you piece together so-called skinny bundles for rates starting at $20 a month. YouTube is aiming to price Unplugged at under $35 a month. YouTube is apparently also considering selling theme packs of additional less watched channels as add-ons to a primary bundle, which Dish is already doing with Sling, offering extra content for specific categories like kids, sports, and news. The paid service would be another source of revenue for YouTube. And I know on the last episode we talked about YouTube and how they're going to approach their revenue issue, which I forgot to mention last week when I was talking about that YouTube has never been profitable for Google. YouTube has never turned a profit. It has always ended up in the red. So Google, and Google's fine with that because of the platform that it is and the popularity that it possesses, because they see potential in it, and this is one of the potentials that they see in it. Millions and millions and millions of people already go to YouTube to view a bunch of stuff every day. Why not just say, hey, pay us $35 a month, you can go there to watch your TV shows too? It's actually kind of a good idea. We'll see what happens. We'll see how it works out. But the only hesitation I have is the hesitation that I have with all of these streaming services right now. And I have a couple other streaming stories I want to talk about before I get into the so-called, as I have dubbed it, streaming bubble. I think eventually it's going to be called Streamgate. I think it's happening. Streamgate 2018, 2017 maybe. Probably 2018 though. Streamgate 2018. That's right. You heard it here, folks, at the Just John podcast.
This is against my civil rights.
Speaking of original programming and programming in general, Spotify original programming. Spotify announced earlier this week that it's expanding its video program with 12 new shows, all of which will revolve around music and pop culture. Each episode will last no longer than 15 minutes, and the series will be made available on iOS and Android users with both free and paid subscriptions. Free will obviously have ads involved. The options are available in the US, UK, Germany, and Sweden, and will be available later this year. This is just the first batch of video that Spotify's planning. They're also planning a second phase that will involve more comedy, animation, and collaboration with artists. The reason why Spotify is doing this is because many of Spotify's competitors are also looking into beefing up their video offerings as the race for paid subscribers intensifies. Apple's working with Dr. Dre, will.i.am, and Vice Media on original programming for its Apple Music service, and Tidal has already experimented with original video in addition to musical exclusives. And while video may not seem like a natural fit for an app built around music like Spotify, it may need it because artists are opting for these exclusive releases. We're seeing it more and more now where they only release through Tidal, where they only release through Apple Music. And so Spotify is struggling to keep its paid subscribers, to provide the value that its paid subscribers want and need for their money. You're trading a value for our hard-earned dollars, and when you can't offer Kanye West's latest album for 3 weeks after it drops, why should I give you my $10 a month? So to compensate for that, they're going to need to do something, and that is why they are doing these video options, because they want to keep these customers. They don't want to lose you as a paying customer, so they're going to do what needs to be done in order to keep you paying that monthly subscription.
Hello, I'm Bill Nye. You may know me from such things as science.
And the third of the streaming stories for this episode, Amazon Video Direct. This week, Amazon unveiled its own plans to compete in the user-generated video market with the launch of a new service called Amazon Video Direct. Basically what this is it's Amazon's version of YouTube. This service allows creators to upload their own videos to Amazon's Prime Video and generate royalties based on the hours streamed. Creators have several options to monetize their videos, including making them available to rent, own, or they can make them free and ad-supported, like YouTube. The videos can also be packaged together and offered as an add-on subscription to Amazon Prime Video. Add-on subscriptions are available through the Streaming Partners program and is intended for larger-scale video providers only. The new program will likely appeal to creators given Amazon's scale. The self-service platform reaches the company's tens of millions of Prime members, keep in mind. Many of these customers are already engaged with Amazon Prime Video, as they use it for free TV shows and movies, including both popular network TV and Hollywood films, as well as Amazon's own original content, which is fan-freaking-tastic, by the way. If you haven't already, go watch Man in the High Castle, just saying. In addition, Amazon says that creators will have control over where their videos can be streamed. For now, that means they can be streamed in countries where Amazon Video is available: the US, Germany, Australia, the UK, good night, and Japan. These videos can be played back anywhere Amazon Video works, which means mobile phones, tablets, Fire tablets, iOS and Android, desktops, game consoles, connected TV platforms, and of course Amazon's Fire TV. Like other video sites, creators will also have access to metrics so they can see how their videos are performing. Amazon will pay partners 50% of the retail price for digital purchases, rentals, and subscription fees. If the creators distribute on Prime Video, they will earn royalties of 15 cents per hour streamed in the US and 6% in other territories. this amount of money is capped at $75,000 a year, so we're not going to see PewDiePie level making $11 million a year off Amazon Prime Video. Along with the launch of Amazon Video Direct, or AVD for short, Amazon is also launching AVD Stars, which is a unique promotion designed to kickstart the video platform. The AVD Stars program gives the creators a share of $1 million per month based on customer engagement with their title. Amazon says it will distribute a monthly bonus to the creators for the $1 million monthly fund based on the top 100 AVD titles in Prime Video. This is on top of the other revenue earned. All creators and providers who use AVD will automatically be enrolled. Some of the names signed up to participate in the new program include the Condé Nast Network, How Stuff Works, The Guardian, Mashable, Mattel, Business Insider, Baby Einstein, and Pro Guitar Lessons. So basically a lot of big companies already. We haven't heard a whole lot about the little small Just John podcast on YouTube style creators, because it may not be worth the trouble, to be honest. And this is going to kind of bring me into my whole Streamgate issue, because, okay, look, don't get me wrong, I love having multiple choices for everything. You hear me preach about it constantly, that the reason why internet and cable companies have so much power is because they have no competition, so they do not have to fight for their customers. And we're seeing all of these streaming companies having to begin fighting for their customers because the free-to-play model is no longer working for them because there are too many. They need a bigger slice of the pie because everybody wants a little slice of the pie, and when that happens, no one has enough pie to sustain themselves. So what I think is going to happen, and this is my prediction, if you remember back in the 90s when all of these different websites started and they became super popular and super rich and just all around amazing because the internet was the coolest thing since sliced bread, which I still agree with. I still think the internet's like the coolest thing. But all of these companies started, made money in the beginning, killed the game, and then so many of them were available that the bubble popped. The .com bubble popped, and majority of those websites went under. They went out of business because there were just too many, and then the innovators that took over came in and picked up the pieces and built what we know now as the Internet 2.0. So I think that something similar is going to happen with these streaming services. We've got all of these different services that are trying to get in on this, and a lot of them have made a lot of money, and some of them will continue to make money, but we're going to start to see some of them fall. We're going to start to see some of the herd drop off because we just literally, as consumers, cannot sustain all of these different companies wanting to charge us $10 a month. I mean, think about it. If you've got your cable bill at $100 a month, that means you've got 10 services that you can pick between all of these streaming services. And that's if you keep them under $10 a month. At some point, something's got to give because people can't afford cable. That's why they're cutting the cord and going to these streaming options because they want to save that money. So the popular ones will survive, the not so popular ones will die, will fall. And the thing about it is, these cable companies like NBC that own Hulu, well, not necessarily them, but like CBS, they want so badly to start their own streaming platform, they're going to have to give up. They are going to have to give up and give in and say, all right, Hulu, all right, YouTube Unplugged, all right, whoever, we are going to give you the key to our castle and you can have our TV shows. This is how much money we need from you every month or per subscriber or whatever, because they're going to have to do it to survive because they're not going to be able to continue on the model that they're doing now. But I'm done ranting about it. I'm going to get off my high horse now and we're going to continue on with the show.
I fart in your general direction. Your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberries.
We are getting right up near to the end of the show, so before I leave you guys for the week, I do want to go ahead and do an app review. The app that I'm reviewing this week is called Stick War Legacy, and it is a simple but fantastic game. So basically the whole premise of the game is like you live in this weird world where all of the different cultures created their societies with different weapons, and these weapons turned into basically gods. So you've got the Archidans that only fight with bows and arrows. You've got the Sword Wrath, which only use swords, obviously. You've got Magickill, which is a land that only has magicians, and you get the picture. But your society is called Order, and Order has no creed. They follow no weapon. They are a peaceful people. But when the other societies find out that you don't worship any specific weapon, that you are a peaceful people, guess what they want to do? That's right. They want to come take you over and rape and pillage and do whatever, and then get to the point where you are now assimilated into their religion. So you have to fight back, and basically you go through the different areas, and as you fight them, you learn their skills. So you fight the Archidons, you now have bows and arrows. You have to mine gold and create your soldiers and go through the whole thing. There's only like 12 levels. It's actually a pretty quick game. I think I beat it on normal in maybe like 2 days, which I really didn't even play it that much. So it's not a super long game, but it's a super fun game. So go check it out. It's a nice little bit of entertainment there for you. Again, it was called Stick War Legacy. If you enjoyed the show, please show me some love by liking, thumbs up, subscribing, sharing, rating, reviewing, retweeting, or whatever it is that's used to symbolize the love of the show on the platform you're using to view it. You can follow me on Twitter at JohnnyM_Revo and at Facebook.com/JustJohnPodcast. You can find the show in its entirety at JustJohnPodcast.com, and you can listen to the show on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, YouTube, Stitcher, Spreaker, or some other shit. You can email me at JustJohnPodcast@gmail.com, and remember, without you, I'm just some dude talking to himself on the internet. Until next time, peace out, fam.